All right, all right. And we're live with Dustin Schyler Yoak. Did I say that right?
Schuyler, yeah, close enough.
Schuyler. I should know because the CH is like Marchese. Instead of
Yeah,
Marchese, it's Marchese. Yeah, it's CH. All right, and we
more
got
school.
yeah, exactly, exactly. We got Gary on the phone
Hello.
or on the Skype rather.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, we started up here, so we got things going. Let me just post up the Twitter feed. I think it should actually be automatic, but uh, I'm just going to keep it is live on the horror show with Gary and William. Yeah, so let's just get that up there. Yeah, so we had recently the other half, or what, fourth, right, of Aphotic Realm. Adrian?
Yeah, yeah. Adrian and I sort of started it, and then got Chris and Gunnar on. Yep.
All right, but you guys are the main sort of brain. Like this is like sort of the your brain child, right? Together.
Yeah, this is our baby. Yep, we birthed it together,
And
so to speak.
so and you guys live like really separate, like really apart. You guys met in college, I believe you said, in Florida.
Yeah. We met in college, and he lives in Arizona. I live in Ohio, so it's all sort of been remote, and it's been an interesting and fun experience the whole time.
So, I'd like to know what's your sort of overall responsibility with Aphotic? How do you come into it? What's your specialty with the magazine and with the books and stuff?
Well, I pretty much do a lot of the day-to-day and operations. I'm pretty much the jack of all trades for the most part, except for Photoshop. I let Adrian just deal with all the design of the interior of the mag and stuff like that. But as far as getting the stories in, I organize them on our tool that we use. We use this special tool called Trello, and it sort of lets us lay out all of our work that we need to do in sort of like this nice, neat, organized workflow. And we can go through, and it allows our group to sort of comment on it and go through and like and comment, say what we liked about the story, what we didn't like, and then vote it through to the next stage, which sort of moves it along the workflow through the different processes. So I got that, set up and rolling, and I keep that updated with all the new stories that come in and are submitted. And then as far as the magazine goes, Adrian's going to be trying to take one of the interviews on this time around. But in the past, I've always done the interviews. So I've sort of scouted out who to interview. And at first it was just like who we know that's legit and, in the community or as a professional of sorts, and that we could talk to and maybe get advice from, that people like our audience might find interesting. And now we're trying to find people that's sort of like on theme, just like our issues, since all of our issues are on theme. So we're trying to find people that are like, for Classified, it was, very much like, hey, look, these, bigger name authors, let's try our hand at getting some bigger name authors in the magazine. And it was very much just, a shot in the dark, let's try it. And all we can do is, lay our heart out there and show them what we're about and what we, are trying to do, and see if they're on board. And luckily both Milo Carbia and Richard Shizmar were very open to it. And so that was really, really cool to interview them. And
I was going to say
that was
their
experience.
Yeah, it's a massive coup having the old Chizard of Oz in your issue. He's quite a popular writer at the moment, especially with his Widow's Point, and obviously he's got Wendy's Button Box. And I'll be honest, I was really surprised that you got him. And that's no disrespect to Aphotic Realm. I've not really seen him being interviewed in anything other than Cemetery Dance or promotional material for his books. So it was a real coup that for you. How did you get the news that he was on board?
He just replied back. I just reached out to him, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'd be happy to do it." And then he said, let's chat about it. And so we went back and forth on the questions, and then as he had time, he filled out some answers and stuff, like sort of went that way and sent them back to us, and that was a pretty cool opportunity. We sort of worked around his schedule as far as that goes, so it was really cool.
No, it was awesome. So who came up with the ideas of the themed issues of Aphotic Realm, and who comes up with them?
That's something that I'm not sure who came up with it, but I think it might have been Adrian. I know I was a little, I can recall being a little skeptical or worried that we might narrow ourselves, put too much of a limit on ourselves, because I wasn't sure, just getting started, are we going to be able to get enough submissions to come up and actually put a magazine out that have enough to do with this? So we sort of, we're like, well, let's try it. And the worst that can happen is, we fall on our face and we do it again, because we're not going to stop unless we both agree that we want to stop. So let's just keep going and we'll go from there. So, it was sort of a trial and error thing, but, one of the things that if no one's picked up on it yet is issue 1. We're also going through the alphabet. So we're double limiting ourselves. So issue 1 had to be an A word. So apparitions, ghostly. B, banished, issue 2. C, classified, so dystopia. So issue 5, you guys can sort of figure it out, might have something to do with an E. Start racking your brains there.
No.
It's sort of like Google's updates. That when you get the updates on the phone, they're in they're first of all the desserts, and then they go by the alphabet.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was something that Adrian was saying on a Twitter post one time about Aphotic Realm being like another word or another term rather for Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah, after we sort of came up with it, he realized belatedly, he was like, "Oh, it's sort of the same kind of thing as, Twilight Zone, because realm, of course, is sort of like zone, and then I think the official aphotic definition is like something like devoid of light."
Yeah. In Twilight.
So it's that's really dark.
Cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Which was, I know for Adrian, it was a big, massive, influence. I don't know if I ever saw any episodes of Twilight Zone as a kid. For me, it was like Goosebumps and stuff. That's what that was like the first sort of step into horror that I was allowed to do. I had sort of, some would say controlling or overbearing or overprotective or something, but I just had a mom that, cared about not scarring me for life. Some of the things that, I did throughout my life still, ended up scarring me anyway. I think it's inevitable that you can't make it out of life without scars. So, it's just a matter of, picking and choosing your battles, I think, as a parent, but that's besides the point. But yeah, Goosebumps were definitely, sort of my first literary step into the world of horror. And then, I think the first real horror movie I saw was the Relic, because I wasn't at home, and I was at my sister's boyfriend's house, and she's like, "Here, watch this. You want to see a scary movie? Since mom's not around or whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
Nice.
So she popped in the Relic or something, because her and her boyfriend had rented it, and So I watched that, and so it's been fun, but yeah.
Yeah. When did or if it ever did come? And when did what's that one? Tales from the Crypt. When did that ever come? Like, did that ever come into play while you were growing up, or?
I remember like seeing the mummy thing, but I don't know when it was on. I always feel like I was out doing other things when it was on. I don't know if it was I was flat out just not allowed, and so therefore it wasn't talked about, or if I just never caught interest because I was busy doing other things. Like as a kid, I was so busy playing outside, and like I had a couple neighborhood friends that I would write out like stories, and we would write out stories like sort of like lesson plans for how we would play, and it would be like going like this mission plan sort of folder. So like on rainy days or at nights, we would put out like the details of some mission or something, and then we would open up the folder and be like, oh, let's play this one, and then we would go and reenact it and stuff like that. And then of course as I got older, the pretending fell off, and we played more basketball and sports and stuff. But that was one of the big things when I was a kid was playing, pretending and acting out the stories that that we would write.
Yeah, I kind of feel that. I mean, I'm 35. I'm 36 in June, but I kind of feel that over here in England, anyway, I was one of the last sort of generations to really play out a lot, and I was always out. In the school holidays, I was always playing outside.
Yeah.
My mum and dad probably didn't know where I was half the time, but they knew I was going to be safe because I grew up in quite a rural area. But I feel around that time, video games sort of came into play. So the Nintendo Entertainment System was quite popular, and I remember playing like Mega Man and DuckTales with one of my friends on his NES. And I actually remember Super Mario Bros. 3 coming out and buying it. And but after that, it was more sort of a case of your parents saying, get out and enjoy the sunshine. What are you doing sat inside, playing? But I kind of feel that these days, through various sort of reasons, I don't feel as safe.
Yeah.
Letting my kids sort of play out. My daughter, when she plays out, she has to stay where I can see her on the front. Obviously, the back garden's fine because it's all fenced off, but and it's a bit of a shame, really. But I think that's the way things are now. No one seems to play out anymore. It's all it's a combination of nature and nurture. It's like you got your video games and stuff, but also parents feel compelled to sort of protect the kids as well. So I was just wondering what you sort of feel about that. Is that the same for you? But you're obviously a dedicated father. So what are your feelings on that?
It's definitely something that absolutely terrifies me. There's been, several reports like in the area just that I live in where people have tried to like snatch kids, and there's news reports saying like our area and surrounding area is, has high sex trafficking and stuff like that. Like it's sort of like a hub.
Damn.
So
yeah. So
we are, very hesitant. We only let the girls go outside if we're with them. In fact, we don't even I don't even let my wife April go to the store alone with them, unless it's an absolute emergency, like it can't be avoided. Otherwise, I stay with the girls, or my mom stays with the girls, or something like that. Just because, we even had a weird experience where we're like walking up and down the aisles. Well, I shouldn't say we, like my wife was, and this guy kept talking to our daughters, and she was, well, we only had the one at time, my oldest at the time, Cadence. She was a little weirded out by it, but thought whatever. And then she noticed that both he and this other lady, she kept seeing him on every single aisle, no matter where she went throughout the store. And it just sort of like, just a couple weeks before, one of our friends mentioned something similar that happened to her at a store. So she just got really weirded out, went up and down and darted around a couple aisles and went to the complete opposite side of the store and circled back around to the front and was like, I'm just going to get these last few things I need and leave. I just want to get out of here.
Yeah.
And she saw both of them talking at the front of the store, like looking around, we're assuming that they couldn't find her or whatever. And then they went out to their car. I think the lady went out to her car and the guy stood around like watching. And, my wife was like, asked the manager to walk them to the car. And she saw both of them in this van driving away as she was walking out to the car with our kids. So, that was just like in our backyard at a store we shop at all the time. So, whether it was malicious or whether it was just like some creepy dude, it still doesn't sit right with me. And it's actually, it's one of my fears, and it's something I've written about, even recently in a story that I've written. So, it's definitely presses on my heart. And, like, I don't want anything bad to happen to my girls. And, I try to protect them and be there, wherever I can.
But here's an interesting question to play off of that, actually. How do you feel once you hit it, and break out and just, get big? How do you feel about people knowing your name? And, like, you may get, I'm not going to say crazy fans, but you may get some really dedicated fans who want to just, like, come up and shake your hand. I remember there was a story Joe Hill said where his early memories of his father were, there was like some ex-con that came to the door with a six-pack and says, "Is your father here?" And then they went out, and instead of being scared, he just went out and drank the six-pack with the guy, and he told him how, he got him through prison. But, I mean, things might not. And then there was another story where Stephen King was saying something about, there was a guy with a knife in his kitchen one day, and he was saying that he stole 3 stories of his, like the ideas. How do you feel about, I guess, putting yourself out there? I mean, I know it's not like movie stars who have to be a little bit more, but it's like, it's sort of the best of both worlds with writers, but you still get that, those moments.
Well, it's gonna, whether I make it or not, I haven't really put too much thought about it, because I don't see myself getting like extremely famous or anything to the point where I, like deserve crazy, enraged fans that just stalk me and show up in my kitchen with knives or six-packs. Because first of all, if they know me, they would know that I drink. And two, if they had a knife, I'd be like, "Oh, cool! Can I see that knife? That knife looks cool."
Yeah.
Especially if they bring a cool knife. Because I like knives. I think they're cool. So I mean, I don't think I would ever get the kind of famous that would, deserve that kind of attention or whatever. I mainly write for myself. Like, I know that might sound weird, but like, I don't know. I'm not necessarily writing to, impact someone else or anything, or like to entertain mass amounts of people. I'm just writing because I enjoy doing it, and I can't imagine not writing. Like for example, my aunt passed away a couple months ago, and I just wrote some of my feelings down, just telling my friends and family, just a post, like just a few words about this wonderful lady. Well, it ended up touching them in such a way that they had it read at the funeral. Like I didn't set out to have my words read aloud in front of any group of people. I wrote them for myself because I was processing my feelings at the loss of my aunt and things like that. So, and like the most recent story I wrote, "Oh, Unholy Right," it's also about like child trafficking and things like that. It's another thing that's presses on my heart, and it's one of my fears, like having someone take my kid away from me. And I'm not writing that for anyone else's entertainment. I'm writing it because it's something that legitimately scares me. Like it's, something that wakes me up at night. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't really think about like where it's going to go. It probably should, because, that's also one of the things I sort of pride myself about. Being prepared, like Boy Scout level prepared.
Yeah.
You should see, like, I have a backpack and it has literally pretty much everything you could, need for daily life in it. And just like little, like, and I can like piece together little MacGyver things out of it just to like get by on whatever, I need. But it's, I don't know, it's, I should probably think about that a little bit more, but I don't think I'll ever reach that level of stardom then.
Oh, come on. Aphotic's going to pick up. Aphotic is going to get big, and they're going to get syndicated. Gary will be able to go to his local store and pick up a copy of Aphotic Realm.
That'd be nice.
Well, that's actually something that we're working on. We're working on getting it in local stores and stuff around. So you never know. You may walk into a store and see it sold. So
yeah,
that'd
be really cool. Sorry, go on, Will.
Oh, sorry. Bo Chappelle, he's in the chat. He says, so he has two questions, actually. Or actually, one's just a comment. He says that when you publish letter Z, are you going to circle back around?
I would imagine. That's in a very long time. A very, very long time. We were just joking about that. Like, like we should make urban legends, and we're like, oh, well, that might cut out like F if we do something like something weird with F or something that has something similar to do with urban legends or whatever. And it's like, well, that's in several years from now. We'll just play it by ear.
F could be fables, couldn't it?
Yeah, that was one of the ideas we were tossing around, but there's lots of different F words that we could drop and go.
Right. Jess is good at that.
And he said that story is fantastic. By the way, I'm assuming he's talking about the serial that you're working on.
If that's Bo, he's probably talking about the Oh Unholy Right, because he's read it.
Okay. Now, what is that about? Now, I mean, that's gonna. So you're actually pitching that, right? Or did you? I think you told me once that there was someone that was digging the whole premise of it.
Oh, the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's a show called what I've called Ditch Reality. It's about two friends. One's depressed, lazy, self-loathing man, and and the other one is a guy who's a time traveler, sort of a time traveling hillbilly from the future, but he has anxiety issues. So the one guy's marriage, who's like in this time, his marriage is falling apart. He's stuck in a dead end job, and he has nothing he ever tries to do goes right. Whereas the futuristic guy he's marooned in this time after the bad guy, Kitty Schmishi, stole his time machine, and now like the two of them are like, they're not heroes. They're nowhere near like even a somewhat working person, but somehow like the two of them, the sum of their parts make somewhat half of a decent, like, I don't know, kind of hero. And they have to like battle through, find the courage and battle through the bad guy's army of stray cats and mind controlled minions as they travel through space and time and trying to reverse the damage that, the bad guy's wreaking all over the universe. So it's just this fun, animated sitcom idea I had a couple years ago. It's actually one of the things that got me on the path to where I am now. I had just observing some interesting characters that I worked with, and they were funny and whatnot. And then all of a sudden, we started telling some jokes with me and one or two of my other friends that I worked with, and then the idea just sort of took off and snowballed, and it was like a spark, and it just kept rolling and rolling and rolling until all of a sudden I had like this, massive amounts of ideas written down, and I started writing them out in script form, and I'm like, well, I want to make sure I give this every opportunity and it can. I don't want to like get hung up on, formatting the script the wrong way, because everything you read, they'll reject it if it's not formatted correctly.
Yeah.
So it's like, I want to make sure that, I think this is funny, but I want to make sure it's formatted correctly. So I started doing some research, and that's when, I found that Full Sail had, an online version now, and it's like, okay, great. I don't have to, quit my job and move away from my family, because Full Sail is a school I've always wanted to go to, like out of high school, but they don't have a campus. They're not a traditional school.
Mm.
They're, still, a brick and mortar, campus and everything, but it's an accelerated program. So you're doing work like 50 to 60 hours a week,
Yeah.
and you're getting a full semester's worth of work in 1 month.
But what kind of work are you talking about? What are these studies?
Well, it depends on your area of focus. So like, it's a full college degree, just like, I'm a Bachelor of Fine Arts as the degree I got. So, we had psychology, we had, general computer courses, math courses, science courses, history courses.
Yeah.
All the normal college, classes that you can take. But the key was that was writing for entertainment. So along the way, once you go through all of those, you have industry professionals. Like, you can't be a professor there unless you've been in the industry, being paid to work in the industry for like, I think 10 years is their requirement.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
Every professor has been in the industry. They know what they're talking about, and they are telling you how to do this stuff.
So this is to be like, to do the sitcom, not a sitcom, to do the serial show.
The animated.
So it's for animation.
Show, the animated sitcom. Yeah, it's going to be like a Rick and Morty or Family Guy type show.
Okay.
So picture that. So I started looking, and they had a creative writing for entertainment class. So, by the time you were done, you were going to learn how to write everything from, comics to movie scripts to, TV scripts, all the proper formatting, plus, we had, regular prose and flash fiction and all the editing and, marketing and, every class that you could need to get started in this industry. So I'm not bursting your bubble or anything. I'm not saying it's bad or anything, but do you feel that sometimes, like, especially with the creative aspect of it, do you feel that sometimes it's better not to ruin the raw aspect of writing with teachers, or like the marketing and the other stuff? I do understand. I mean, you could also learn that too. I mean, basically, like, they have YouTube videos, and I know that's saying like being very simple, but yeah.
Do you think that like, is it really expensive? Do you think that the outcome is worth what you're looking for, or do you think that you can learn this stuff by yourself? With
I mean, anyone that's determined enough can learn it. But I mean, half the battle is having a structure and having someone hold you accountable. To your own work and learning that kind of discipline. So you had to really find it in yourself with the kind of breakneck speed that you're moving throughout school, because, like I said, you're getting a semester's worth of work in a month.
I see.
You're learning a semester's worth of stuff in a month. You have to make sure you meet all your deadlines, and this is coming out of your pocket. This is the big leagues. You can't just screw off and drink and do whatever you want. I mean, it's not like a typical college where you have summer breaks and stuff like that. You were going year round for 2.5 years. So, it was, I mean, the most we had was a 2-week break at Christmas time. That felt like an eternity. But yeah, I think it's definitely worthwhile. I mean, sure, there might be other sources, but for me, it worked out because, like, in our first magazine, we interviewed, our second issue, we interviewed Chris Ramsey. And he was one of my favorite instructors in the whole curriculum. He taught a flash fiction course, and he did a workshop where he broke down every single aspect of your story and gave you feedback line by line. So, like, you're seeing directly, like, what worked and what didn't work, and you're getting immediate feedback from both your peers in class and your professor right there, like, and he would go through and mark it up and be like, okay, here's my suggestions, and here's your edits, like, go ahead and make these edits. And then, he encouraged everyone to, like, it was even part of the class. I think you had to submit a couple pieces before the class was over, so he really, just getting that sort of writing and editing boot camp at the same time was really helpful, because it taught you the value of, the first sentence, being concise, and, all your different things that's important that I'm using like on a daily basis with Aphotic Realm. So it was invaluable. And, it may not be worthwhile for someone else, because, they might find another avenue. Everyone's going to find a different route that works for them.
Or maybe they won't be focused.
This worked for me.
Yeah. No, I know exactly. I mean, and then, there's other aspects like the marketing and stuff. You want to know the technical stuff. And sometimes it's good to just cut right through and not do all the back-breaking research, because sometimes going the other way is a little harder. You're basically paying to get that straightforward, knowledge. But I know like many people tell me, and it's just with the writing aspect in general, not really just like the technical things. That when you go to some creative writers are great, the teachers, like they'll really teach you well, and then some will like just destroy the way you write. They'll try to make you write like them, and it destroys whatever rawness that you had, that you just need to maybe cultivate a little bit. They'll box you in, and then then you're questioning yourself, and then you won't have that kind of freedom and that raw energy to go and just like make some crazy story that's all your own,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not really like that. Like, the way the class worked, at least in my experience, I can't speak for other courses or anything like that, or other instructors, but it was very much, he took into consideration your voice and your style of writing, and just recommended like, okay, here's where you could improve this sentence by changing this sentence this way. It makes it more suspenseful, or it puts more impact on what you're trying to say if you do it this way, or the way you're slipping into a different tense here, or he would point out your mistakes right then and there, instead of just nope, this doesn't work, or here's a letter grade, or a general editor's comment saying, yeah, you had some mistakes here and there, overall it was good, but the story was a little weak in this area, and then blah. It's very vague when you're getting that kind of feedback, if you get that kind of feedback in the industry at all. So seeing specifically, like, I understand that I messed up, or I understand that there's mistakes, but seeing specifically where, he would be grading you, like, this is where I'm grading you, it was awesome. And just to get that immediate kind of feedback, you're reading it aloud in class, you're getting feedback from your peers and suggestions, and, sort of workshopping your story, and everything he was doing was trying to make it the story the best it can be, without stomping on your voice. So I mean, that's definitely what we have sort of adopted at Aphotic Realm. We may not pay, but we offer editing advice, and that's not where a lot of places do that. And we try not to stomp on voices or anything like that, but
sometimes sometimes it's good to stomp on a voice or two. I'm not saying to change it, but sometimes they could have something, like I hate to use the term again, but they could have something raw, and it's just, if you break, maybe they have a bubble around them, you break that bubble, they'll venture out. So like, it is a way of doing it too that's not like, listen, this part sucks, change it. You could say, well, you know what, this part, maybe if you did it this way, or maybe this way, you come up with something. These are just examples, like, some shit like that. And then let them just, like, I guess, go on their own. But that's when you have a great teacher, man. It really makes a difference. But most of the time, from what I've seen, a lot of these teachers, they just want you to write like them. They just want you to, be a carbon copy sometimes. Like, oh no, that's not how you do it.
Yeah, there's definitely an emphasis on learning the basic rules before you break the rules. They say you can do whatever you want, but you need to learn the rules. Like, even Stephen King has an editor. Stephen King, you may see Stephen King do these things, because almost every single student's like, well, I did this, but I've seen Stephen King do that. And it's like, yeah, well, Stephen King is you're not Stephen King right now. you need to learn the basics before you fly.
Well, and that's another point too. Think about this: Stephen King was a teacher, right? So he was teaching English. Now he was, or maybe writing. I forgot. I think it was English though. Now he was a freaking teacher, so he should know this stuff. There was one excerpt in one of his books at the end where he goes, "This book was written not so much by myself, but my editor." And he's joking, but usually, I've heard that he needed a lot of editing in a lot of his stuff. I mean, and plus it's big books and stuff, but that's the whole raw thing. Sometimes when you're getting that raw thing down, and then you got the editor, and he also probably got close to the guy. Maybe they were like rushing him too, so he probably just like sent him I guess the piece of coal, and they were going to work together to make it a diamond. At that point, he was probably already Stephen King,
Yeah.
But it's still just funny that he's this teacher, and even then he still needed to have help and stuff. Some people just get it perfect. I mean, I've seen people who write beautiful prose, beautiful syntax, everything is put together. The phrases are perfect, and everything has a meaning, and you could break it down for days. But the story is just boring. So it can go like so many ways. It's just that one perfect thing that you just hit the nail on the head. That's what I guess you're searching for.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, like I can't say half, but there's definitely some Stephen King stories out there that would be like, if anyone else in the world were to try to publish that story with how the story meanders like a river, sort of just ebbing and flowing here and there before finally getting to the waterfall or the big punch or the climax, it would not get published. The publisher would be like, okay, cut this entire garbage out here and let's make this a little more concise, lose about 10K words, and then we can go from there.
Well, that's the thing too. Like if somebody else was to write Stephen King, I mean, the thing is, and that's why I also say sometimes when you let people read your story, and they're like, "Oh no, I'm not going to let anybody read my story because they can steal it." They can't write the way you do,
Right.
And it's definitely, you're right. I mean,
Yeah,
I love those birds.
It's one of those things, but
those are such lovely birds in the background.
Oh, you're liking that? I'm actually outside.
Oh, that's Gary. I just imagined Dustin like in some, Wonderland over there.
In one of his videos. Your videos are awesome,
with the
Dustin.
Air running through my beard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wind-kissed cheeks and beard.
Oh, hey, I just saw in the chat room. You see, this is what I'm talking about already, and we know him. Bo Chappelle is saying he has a question. He says, "I promise not to show up at your house with a 6-pack of LaCroix after you hit it big, but can I have a lock of your majestic beard because it's for science?" He wants to clone you, Dustin. He wants to clone you, and I told you this stuff happens.
I would like to clone myself. So if you have the secret, please do. And then, maybe, I can get some of this out. I tell you what, I feel like I lose my mind, dividing myself in a million different ways. And I just feel like I'm failing someone in one way or another on any given day. So I just try to do my best. But I tell you what, some days I just wish it's like, man, I really could use another one of myself right now.
For work. Imagine if they let them work, and then you just work on your writing. I think it's all in the LaCroix, though. The LaCroix does some chemical reaction.
Yeah, I need 3. I need 1 to go to work because, I live in North Canton, but I work in Cleveland. So that's over an hour drive every day. And then just to work and then back. And then if there's an accident or traffic or snow, the sky sneezes and, people get into an accident. So it's just ridiculous. So that takes up so much of my day. And then, there's all the Aphotic Realm duties that I try to live up to. And we have a ton of projects and we're really ambitious and excited. And it's, something I'm really excited about and passionate about. And I'm trying to grow things in different areas and try all these different things, but it's I'm limited by the amount of time I have, and then I still have to try to spend time with my family. And I shouldn't say have to, but I still make sure that I put in FaceTime with the family, have dinner, and play with my kids, and that's the best part of my day. But it's like when you combine all of that. Oh, and then at the very end of the evening, I try to spend some alone time with the wife and like chill and watch maybe, an hour TV show or half-hour TV show.
Yeah.
And then somewhere in there, I try to work in writing. And it's like when you pile that into a day, and then account for like 3 hours of it be sleeping, it's like I need to sleep less.
You need clones.
Wait. One clone for work, one clone for Aphotic Realm stuff, and one clone just so that I can work on, my writing and the projects that I'm trying to juggle right now.
That would be so nice. I mean, Bo even says, he goes further and says, unrelated question, what is your favorite flavor and temperature of LaCroix?
Flavor, not at all. And temperature, not at all. I'm not actually a big fan of LaCroix. They have that as like, I like flavorful drinks, and they have that as at work as like one of the alternates. Someone thought it was a good idea, and I'm always like, I would rather die before drinking that. For whatever reason, I haven't been able to like acquire a taste for it.
It's like watered down soda, right?
I only drink three things. I'm sort of like mildly lactose intolerant of sorts. I can eat some stuff, but not all of it. It sort of like messes me up a little bit. But so coconut milk, which I don't just drink straight up. It's like if I have to have milk in something or whatever, I'll have a splash of that. But water is pretty much it. And then if I want something flavorful to mix it up, I have coconut water, but it's very specific. It has to be Vita Coco is the brand. I've tried a dozen brands. I don't like any of them except for this one brand, and it's like, I don't know, I'm kind of a snob when it comes to coconut water.
Do you have
Vita? You
have a Whole Foods by you?
Yeah, we have Whole Foods and stuff like that. Yeah.
So there's a coconut milk, coconut water rather. It's in this bottle, and some of the bottles are actually red, and like the juice. I forgot the name of the company, but that is very good coconut water.
Yeah, there's like Body Armor has coconut water, but with different flavors. Like they have like fruit punch and random other flavors like that. That's actually pretty good. I don't drink it a lot though. I just mainly stick to my Vita Coco. It's my go-to.
Yeah.
Usually try to catch it on sale when I can find it. We're starting to find a few more stores that have it, which is good. So I don't have to like scour the known universe for it or go to the gas station to buy it, because the gas station bias always has it, but it's always more expensive.
Yeah,
water's not cutting it. I need hydration and some flavor. So I need some coconut water.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with the coke. Yeah, because coconut water is different. I mean, you can't really genetically modify that yet, right? Coconuts. I mean, they're filters.
Not that I know of.
Yeah, so I mean, it should be cool.
Well, on this drink, they have it mixed with, it's pure coconut water with pineapple, and they have another one with mango. So those, I don't drink straight coconut water either. It has to be with the one with pineapple or the one with mango. See, wow. I told you I'm a snob when it comes.
so sort of diverting to sort of the literary side of things again. I had a wonderful, I had a wonderful package come through my letterbox, and it was a certain Tales from the Realm.
I'm really excited about that one.
Yeah, man, my pants exploded as soon as I opened the package. It's once again, it's sort of very well presented, even though it's not. I actually thought it would be a magazine, a bit like what you do with the regular issues. Yeah. And I was surprised to see actually it's a book, but I was not surprised to see that it's got the same sort of really nice presentation. There's like the little illustrations on the opening pages, and every story's got its own sort of title page and stuff. I'm really impressed with it, and it's a nice little volume. So, how did that come about? And
I know. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say how did that come about, and what was the process behind that?
Well, I know from the get-go, before we even settled on a name and started the website, we wanted to do like a collected volume of like all the different stories. We thought that would be really cool, and like do it in some really cool way, because I'm obsessed with having collected volumes of stuff and having physical copies of things. And like for me, it's like one thing to be, it's like, wow, cool, my story is online on this website, but it's another to like, this, I'm holding this thing in my hand and it is my story. This thing that I created, is in my hand and it's mine. Like that's a different kind of feeling. And it's like, that's one of the things that was important to me. Like we should have, this is like even before we decided to do the magazine, when we were just thinking it would be like an online thing for a while. I was like, we should collect all the stories and put them in a volume. And we were like, yeah, we really should do that. So, towards the end of the year of last year, I started reaching out to all the different authors. Well, first, before we even did that, I talked to all the people that sort of help us read and go through some submissions, like Chris and, Gunnar and, Adrian and all them. And we were like, okay, let's just pick out 10 stories that are your favorite, that, stand out. They don't have to be like just 10 stories to you that stand out, that are like special or caught your attention or whatever. And so everyone came up with a list of at least 5 to 10. And then I took all the ones that were the same, were auto ads, and then I went in and picked out all the other ones from their list and put those on there. And that's sort of how you get the list that you see. I picked out some of the ones that were, a big deal to me, which were also on the list for the other folks too. Like having some of the first stories that we published, like, Black Lung Hay Fever, which was on just about everyone's list, by S.E. Casey, Silencing the Bell by Gary.
That's a good story.
Yeah, it is a good story, ironically.
I like that one. I was going to say the first story is particularly good. It's funny you mentioned Black Lung Hay Fever by S.E. Casey.
Yeah.
I think I was one of these sort of beta readers on that. I read it and suggested edits for that ages ago, maybe a year or so ago, maybe a little bit longer. I can't remember. But so I used to communicate with S.E. Casey quite a lot. But it was a sequel of sorts to a piece of flash fiction that he wrote, which I think Molotov published. And he wanted to do a bit of a follow-up to it. So I remember sort of reading it, and then I remember him getting into Aphotic Realm with it. And it was him getting in there that sort of spurred me to put something together and try you with that as well. And I was really pleased to get in. But so sorry, go on. I just interrupted.
Oh no, I was just saying that. I totally agree there. Like, so just like getting some of like at least like 5 of the picks, I think, were some of the first stories that ever came in across our desk that are stand out in our minds, that are very special to us. Like Yours, Imagination, The Forgotten House by S.J. Budd, Black Lung Hay Fever. Those especially. Oh, and My Better Half by Mark Blickley. Those, I think, were some of the first stories that came across our desk that we read and were submitted. And they still hold up, and they're still great stories that we still, like, they have a, this one place in our heart is like, these people believed in us when, we didn't even have a story on our website. We were just, 2 dudes that had a dream that, were out there. So, like, those were all great. So it was just a matter of like having it come together, mixing some of the voices, the different tone, like themes and things like that. Like one of the most twisted stories in this whole collection is The Almost Cannibal by Morgan K. Tanner.
I've not read that yet. I know Morgan, and
it is one of my favorites. And it is so twisted. It's awesome.
I haven't got to that one yet. I'm sort of going to work my way through it. It's really hard, when you sort of get a story published in a collection or whatever. Especially when you've got a few out there. Sometimes it's quite difficult to work your way through all the stories because you're reading other stuff at the same time as well. But I always make a point to try and do it just out of respect of all the other authors that are in there with you. Yep. So I am going to get there. It's just going to maybe take a little bit of time.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard. It was so hard to pick just a few, and it kept the list kept growing. At first, I thought I might pick out like 10, because that way it would be sort of smaller chapbook type length, is what I sort of thought. But the list just kept growing, and I'm like, oh man, we have to include this one. We have to include Rock Brothers by Simon McCarty, because that was awesome, and it has like this really cool It feel, by Stephen King. It's like, oh man, we have to have, it's just every single time it was like, oh, and The Shape of Government Center by Gene Grantham sort of helped inspire the cover too. There was a scene in there that I was like, oh man, this would make a really cool image. So I was like, hey Gunnar, can you do anything with this description right here and maybe make a cover out of it? And he's just like, well, I guess let me see what I can do. And, obviously he came up with a awesome cover. Like every story in there was like, it was hard to like pick just these 20 and like to get it down to this 20.
How many stories were there to pick from, just out of interest?
I think we have over 80 stories on the site.
Wow. I didn't realize it was that many.
Yeah, we have quite a few. I mean, give or take a few. Some of those could be, I might have slipped in. There might be a few announcements that slipped in, but I think the last time I looked at the number of posts we had, that's how many were in there. So,
wow.
I mean, there's quite a few stories. And
you're still accepting regular stories for the site as well, aren't you? Because I have read one or two that have popped up recently. So are they just like general submissions that you get through as a separate thing?
That's a big majority of the time chunk is getting through the general submissions that we get, because we still get quite a few general submissions, and we usually get a big massive dump of them every single time we announce a new issue or whatever, or submissions for an issue closes. People are like, oh hey, let's submit to this thing. They hear about it and submit again, or what have you. So I mean, we're always getting submissions in and reading through them, and it's not like I said before, like it's not like we just read them and reject them or accept them. Like, if the story fits but isn't quite there, like we, work with the author. So a lot of it is also reading through, providing some markup and editing advice, and then sending it back and working with the author back and forth on, edits and suggestions. So, I mean, a story, for it to go on the website, it might have come into us like a month before. And we've been communicating with the author back and forth.
Well, you did it with me for my story, but before I went to the website, I can't remember. I think it was you that I dealt with directly with the edits and stuff. But the ending was completely changed, and I think it's all worked out slightly better because of it. But yeah, it was nice to, as I've said before on previous podcasts that we've done, it's nice to have a free publication that does actually care a little bit. And you don't mind submitting as an author to places like that, because you know that your story is going to be well looked after. You get, as an author, sometimes you get quite precious. I'm sure you know yourself of what you're writing, and you put a lot of time and effort into these stories, and it's quite difficult to sort of just give it away to some bastard step parent, and they're just going to throw it out there the way it is, and they're not going to edit it, and it's just going to be crap, and then you look back on it and you regret it. But I know that the stuff that I've submitted to Aphotic and all the other stories that you deal with, they've gone through a process. So I think that's really good, and I think it's very, very important that anyone who's listening, who's thinking of submitting to you guys, and I think they should, knows that whatever they send to you is going to be looked after. You don't get paid for it, but you end up with a beautiful product at the end of it. I mean, your magazines are just absolutely amazing, and they're just so beautiful, and your story is well looked after.
Yeah, we don't have a lot. We don't. I appreciate that. We obviously we can't pay everyone out of pocket right now like we want to, because we know that if push came to shove, we had to pay everyone, we'd probably just end up having to close it down. You know what I mean? Like we couldn't live up to those expectations. So, definitely we try to help out in as many ways as we can, whether it's promoting work, and continuing to promote work even after, like every author that comes through, we ask for a bio, and, if they have a Twitter account or a Facebook account, we, follow them and, retweet and like help market their stuff, and throw it out there, as best we can. And not just the stuff that's on Aphotic Realm. Like Mandy Jordan, for instance, she has a play coming out this Friday, I believe. It's around the whole Shadows of the Realm universe and her Lacrimosa book. It's based off of that. So they're putting on a play version of that, and it's just, it's cool to, be able to share that kind of information and just to see like a sort of a network of people that have come together throughout.
How did the Mandy Jordan book come about? You published a book for it, didn't you?
Yeah, it was just a collection of short stories.
Okay.
She submitted a story, and we were had mentioned in the remarks that, that there were others or whatever. And we were like, oh, wow, we really like this. We were thinking of maybe serializing it, like putting them out on the website. And she's like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. So we started to put them out on the website, and then we're like, if you have enough, then maybe we can put together a short story collection. She mentioned there was a novel that was in the works and stuff like that. The novel she already had at another publisher, but so she had I think we had 8 stories online at the time, and then she wrote and pounded out 5 more stories that all take place, all these stories take place between her first and second book, and or during her first book, and they're about the different characters and stuff within that universe. And so we were like, okay, cool, we'll put this together, and we'll have Adrian or Gunnar put up a cover for it, which was completely out of his comfort zone, because he's into drawing more things like the Tales stuff. So I guess it was out of his comfort zone, but I think he still did a great job with it. And so it was just a cool opportunity. We even cross promoted with the other publishing house. They marketed Shadows in the copy of the first novel. In the back of the book, there's an ad for Shadows, and in the back of our book, there's an ad for Lacrimosa for this other publishing house. So it was really cool to have that, connection, and, it's, we, cooperated for the sake of the author's benefit, and it wasn't, at the benefit of either, person, either publishing house, I guess you could say, to really market someone else's work or drive someone to someone else's, book to buy for if they're not making money. But, we worked together, and it was really cool. So
yeah, I actually own it. I've not read it yet, though. I always support publications. I bought it, but I've not read it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. There's so many, things out there, and it's I have a whole shelf full of books that I'm waiting to read, and it's just finding the time to read them and get through them. It can be challenging. I find audiobooks work the best, so that's one of the things that we're looking to get into as well, is doing audio versions of the stories and stuff like that. So on Aphotic Realm. So that'll if that ever comes to fruition and the way we want, that would be cool, to have an audio version of the magazine or the whatever book that we release. And so there's a ton of stuff on the horizon, and there's a ton of stuff that we're dipping our fingers into to try to make positions and gain a new position to move into, our trailers are trying to get a better YouTube presence. it's because we're looking to do more things in that area. But
yeah, YouTube is definitely you got to keep posting. I heard. I was reading like you got to put post up. Some people post like 2 or 3 times a day. I'm like, how the hell do you do that? I guess they go on live or something. But I'm trying to do that walk to work thing to get like a presence. But it's hard, man.
Yeah. I mean, it takes time. So I mean, we don't want to rush anything. So everything we do is like calculated and, or at least we attempt to calculate it and think it out. So, and plan it out. So,
yeah,
it is. We'll get there when we get there, and hopefully it'll be good. And hopefully people will like it.
it'll definitely be good. So we're gonna wind this down. I have one last question for you. What are you currently working on?
I thought you were going to say wearing.
Oh. Sorry. What are you currently wearing, and what are you currently working on?
I am wearing an Aphotic Realm t-shirt.
Nice.
The one that we did for our book promo with Gunner's sick art on there. And jeans.
Oh God, I'm glad you added that.
And jeans. I'm definitely clothed, fully clothed.
But
the most important thing is the slippers. I have slippers on. House shoes are definitely a must. I take them with me to other people's houses because I don't like not having something on my feet.
Yeah,
I'm weird.
Nice.
No, it's I mean, I'm wearing a Dead Man's Tome thong, and I've lathered myself up with Dead Man's Tome oil. How about you, Gary?
Is that, well, right now I'm wearing a Manchester Metropolitan University T-shirt because that's the university I went to, and some pajama bottoms. And unlike Dustin, I'm not wearing any shoes or socks at all. I'm just barefoot.
Yeah, ever since I got my toe injured, I haven't been able to go barefoot.
Okay.
So I was like, nope, nothing goes near my feet. But within regards to what I'm working on a couple things. Of course, my TV show that I already mentioned, which I have like 5 episodes scripted out, and a story Bible, and multiple season arcs, sort of, sketched out a little bit. Always dabbling in that as I have time. I just submitted a story recently, last on May 1st. So we'll see where that goes. And then, there's the super secret project that I've referred to online a few times. That Adrian and Chris and I are working on. So there's that. And then of course we have several. That's the main thing. I have a couple other short stories that I've sort of dabbling in, but it's mainly getting Aphotic Realm stuff in line for issue 4, and we have some deadlines coming up for that, and for Grimdark. And
when is 4 going to be coming out?
Issue 4 will come out sometime in July, like around the 15th-ish of July is when we're aiming for. So deadline's going to be the 1st of June on that, I believe, unless I'm mixing up my dates. And then Grimdark deadline is May 15th. So, yeah, we got a couple submission deadlines coming up. And, Dystopia June 1st deadline.
You ever think of doing a Christmas one?
A Christmas themed one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the realm of possibilities.
The Aphotic Realm.
Yeah. Or in my sense right now, the alcoholic realm.
Yeah, I mean it's always in the realm of possibilities. We won't rule anything out, but who knows? Maybe we'll have a whole themed issue down the road.
Yeah.
We have a lot of letters of the alphabet to go.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe we can cram holiday themed one. Maybe H will be holiday.
Yeah. I mean, you guys, maybe by then we'll all be best-selling authors and we won't have to worry about day jobs, so we could get to it.
Yeah, I would love to not worry about a day job right now.
It's gonna
Oh
happen.
man,
It's gonna happen.
it would be great.
Yeah, it's definitely, uh, it's gotta happen. All right. So Gary is it's really late where Gary is. So
Yeah.
It's getting there.
we're gonna wrap this up. If you'd like to come on and talk about horror, or if you have something to sell or a new book coming out, please contact either me or Gary, and we'll make it happen. If you like this show, please give it a please give it a thumbs up. Sorry, I'm not drinking anymore during the damn show. I'm telling you. If you like this show, please give it a thumbs up and comment on what you like to hear. Also, subscribe so you can be notified when new content is coming your way. And there's this new thing with a bell, so hit that to be informed of stuff. If you don't want to hit the bell, don't hit the freaking bell. It's up to you, But it would be nice. Or if you have, it'll just come to your feed, like with my YouTubes. I see all the new things coming out, so I don't have to get the little notification. So that it just comes to my feed, and I'll just say, oh, I want to see. Yeah, let me see that. And just believe in yourself.
That's it. And I'd just like to say, as always, thank you very much to Mr. Dustin for coming on the podcast. It's been really nice speaking to you. It's the first time I've spoken to you verbally, so to speak. You're a lovely guy. Your magazine's fantastic. Please check out Aphotic Realm, and please check out Dustin on Twitter. He's the guy with the beard who does brilliant advertisement videos for the magazine. It's fantastic. But thanks very much, Dustin.
Oh, and plus, I do movie reviews for Aphotic too. So
yeah.
There's that. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Dustin, before we go, anything you want to get out there?
Just basically come to Aphotic Realm, aphoticrealm.com. Hit me up on Twitter, Dustin Schyler. I'm on Facebook, but I don't get on Facebook as much. But yeah, if you have any stories, send them our way, and that's it.
Nice.
I got a couple of pictures of Gary that I'm going to make some promos for. So you'll be laughing very soon, everybody. And once this is up, or YouTube's got to look through it, make sure there's nothing going on with it. Actually, it's a funny story, real fast, 2 seconds, Gary. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Go.
Just quickly before we go, I did a test run of YouTube Live where I was just testing out the screen capture on this, and I accidentally a video, like I hit a corn video to see like how it would sound when I put the volume up and down and stuff as I'm talking, to do maybe a tutorial video or something, and after I had it on private, and I got an email from YouTube saying that it was like a copyright thing, and that the place doesn't mind that I use the song, but they're gonna put advertisements or something up on the video, and I can't monetize it. Now I'm not monetized yet. I haven't reached that threshold, but I just thought that was very strange that like so fast they knew, and I didn't even realize that's what what I did. But it was only like a snippet. It was just like a riff. It was so weird.
They'll get you, man.
But it was also cool that they let it be. You just can't monetize it. So it was kind of cool that they let it happen as a sort of advertisement for themselves, I guess. But then they'd monetize this. So like that video would be monetized by EMI, I think, EMI Records or something. So that was kind of weird. Just thought I'd throw it out there.
Anyway, guys, I'm going to shoot off now.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Thank you very much.
Shoot off and do some dinner.
Yeah, we're going to record a second segment, but we're maybe going to do that another day because this interview's gone on for an hour.
Yeah, no, I think that part was.
Yeah, sweet.
All right,
well, thanks again, Dustin. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah,
everybody.
have a good one.
And keep
Later.
the birds.
Take care.
Keep the birds tweeting.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Later. I think everybody left.
I'm still here.
Was that a cat?
You gotta hang up on me to get rid of me.
Wait, we're still streaming. All right, but I do have to go cook, and I think that some fence people are downstairs because during this last storm, my fence blew away. So we had to put up a new fence to keep the zombies out.
Yeah, no one wants to see you walk around naked. Well,
That too.
you got to put that fence up.
I actually go outside, and it's sort of like a Grand Theft Auto game where I'm just in like the Dead Man's Tome speedos, and I don't think anybody wants to see that. So yeah, the fence is a must, and plus the dinner. I'm like I'm doing like this diet thing, so got to keep that. I'm in a realm. We use realm again. I'm in a realm of extreme weight that I just have to get out of. I actually lost 11 pounds in the last 2 weeks. So,
Nice.
yeah, I've been trying to do that. I say it's not just for looks. It's really for like just trying to prolong my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the important thing.
But
or not, just rush to the grave as fast as you can.
Exactly.
Because, you know,
whatever
works best.
Well, we're still live, but we went down to 4 watching. We were at like 7 or 8, I think. But I'm gonna cut this off, and then.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
You got it, man. We'll talk on Twitter, and everybody will. And you can come. I mean, look, you can come on again. You know, we just talk about horror, really. You know, just what's going on with new things in around and stuff like that.
Yeah, it would be awesome.
All right, dude.
Sounds good. Later.
Check you later, man.